lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you. Don't.
From Richmond Raceway, just off of Interstate 95, the Way She Goes Racing League, sponsored by L&C Automotive Repair, is ready to roll around this three-quarter-mile battlefield in a state that has been the birthplace of 8 presidents of the United States. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the eSports Broadcasting Network. Tonight, we're watching to see if Tommy Devers can translate his road course skill onto this oval and make it 2 wins in a row. Meanwhile, our points leader, Tony Edwards, is still winless this season, with Andrew Olszewski nipping at his heels, and he is just 8 points behind him in the championship standings. This should prove to be an exciting night for racing, and I'm Dave Regal alongside my new partner in crime, Greg McConey, and we will be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag on ESBN. And Greg, listen, it is good to have you in tonight. I'm glad to have you assigned to this broadcast. These folks here in the Western States Racing League are just so much fun to watch week in and week out, and we here at ESPN have been there since the inception of this league coming to us. I know that you've heard some really good things. You know, right now, Joseph Mahar in the number 46 Chevrolet atop the leaderboard in qualifying. What do you think about the Way She Goes Racing League from what you've seen so far?
Dave, this is going to be a competitive battle here tonight. These guys have been running very close together times. They're running consistent times. We're going to see a ton of tire fall off. These cars are going to get loose. They're going to want to push themselves up off the corner. Early on in the run, it's going to be mayhem, and I'm so excited to see it.
Absolutely, and I have seen some incredible racing this week at Richmond as Sunday Night NASCAR on SRM was here, and to be completely honest, that was a caution fest, but, then Tuesday Night NASCAR, their Xfinity Series over on the Independence Racing Network, they were fantastic, almost no cautions throughout that race. I mean, so I've seen both ends of the spectrum here. I know you were out practicing earlier. How did that car feel overall? I've heard almost nobody talking about it being tight.
Yeah, this car, from when I ran a few laps in practice, I was really struggling center off. So this thing was loose as can be, especially in 1 and 2. With how flat that exit is compared to the high banks in 3 and 4, it's going to be a challenge for these drivers here tonight. Hopefully, as this track wears in, as it rubbers up, it's going to tighten up and really allow these guys to get some good side-by-side battles going on. We got 75% fuel tonight, so that's going to be about 116 laps that they can go on fuel. I doubt we're going to see them go that long with the tire fall off that's going to be here. I expect guys to split this 200-lap race into about thirds, to be brutally honest. I think that's where you're going to see the most advantage in tire wear, and guys are going to try and perform the undercut here tonight to really get themselves up ahead.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're just joining us, this is the Way She Goes Racing League live on ESBN. If you're tuning in on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you can be notified every time ESBN goes live. As, of course, tonight we are here at Richmond Raceway with myself, Dave Regal, alongside Greg McConey. Glad to have you in, and let us know in the live chat who you're pulling for, as Jim Eidson says, let's go racing. Bluegill 37 says good luck to everybody, as well as Lizette Montez. And Lizette does have her boyfriend out here tonight, and I'm sure that we will hear from her. As it looks like qualifying has now wrapped up, we'll take a look at the starting lineup tonight here, folks, as I get that pulled up. Starting off on the pole tonight is Tony Edwards in the number 118 Chevrolet, with Jesse Whittington in the number 1 Toyota Camry on his outside. Tommy Devers starting on the inside of row 2 with Joseph Mahar in the number 46 Chevrolet on his outside. Row 3, Robert Devers and Derek Nolan. Row 4, Josh Douglas and Angelo Zuski. Brandon Ring and Robert Hissong round out the top 10. Greg, who's in 11th?
11th, we got John Osborne with the outside lane of Natalie Cunningham. Row 7 is G. Scott Thomas, the outside of Kevin Mitchell. Michael Cunningham is on the inside of row 8. Matthew Allen is outside. Following in 17th place, we've got Kevin Kutzman, 18th Clark Franz, and following up the field in 19th is Emily Urias. I think I pronounced that right.
Actually, it is Urias, but we'll forgive you because tonight we could just call you Nick the New Guy and be just fine. And, right now we're taking a look here at Tony Edwards, who is your season points leader. And I'll tell you what, Tony sitting atop the leaderboard without a win this season is always something impressive to me. Of course, we also look through this top 5 in points. Angelo Zuski, who's second, trailing him by just 8 points from Rockford, Illinois, in second position. Kevin Mitchell in the number 12 Toyota. That's an M&M's Toyota, and he is from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So the Canadian Creamer running in third, 23 points out of the lead. Then Robert Hissong, as I am looking for him on timing, it looks like he has not made the race tonight. Robert Hissong in fourth. Has 2 wins this season. 10th. Oh, he's 10. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, Daniel, he's in 10th.
Oh, there we go. Robert Hissong driving the number 29 Chevrolet in fourth, just 27 points out, but with 2 wins on the season. And Robert Devers, behind his brother Tommy Devers tonight, out here on the track in 5th position with no wins yet, but just 29 points out of the lead in season standings. And I'll tell you what, these drivers, you're about to see some incredible stuff here, Greg. I mean, the way that things go, or the way she goes here in this league, they're just impressive to watch at all times. As I see right now, driver info won't go away. There it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Richmond normally puts on some really good racing, especially if you get a lot of drivers that know what they're doing. This next-gen car, with this aero package that they have, with the high horsepower, low rear downforce, is really going to make it interesting. You're going to see a lot of cars slipping and sliding, and we're going to have so much fun here tonight as they're sitting in turn 3 right now.
And ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, call some friends, and settle in, because that man in the stand has the green flag in his hand, and we are green flag racing at Richmond Raceway tonight in the Way She Goes Racing League. as Jesse Whittington in the number 1 Toyota Camry jumps out in front of Joseph Mahar and Tony Edwards really early here tonight. And I'll tell you what, this is something that you don't often see when you can make that hop from P2 up to P1 and use basically Tony Edwards as a pick to get around there.
Yeah, Tony really had trouble getting going. I'm expecting a lot of tire spin here tonight, especially on cold tires. And that really allowed Jesse to get out front, followed by Joseph Mahar. Really, right now, you're seeing the field single file up, and that's what you're going to see for a lot of it tonight. Sitting a little farther back, around 10th, 11th place. These guys are starting to get...
18 go into the 8 and cause him to go up the track. No caution yet from iRacing, as the 18 driven by Natalie Cunningham gets into the side of Josh Douglas and manages to get herself back on track. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, you're fine. We're going to see a lot of this single file for a little while as guys kind of settle in, guys and gals, sorry, as they settle in, kind of find their rhythm. I'll be interested to see if that high line or that certainly early on in 1 and 2, you're going to really prefer that bottom line. That's just where the grip naturally is. But 3 and 4, you can kind of drift up a little bit, like you kind of see the 81 of John Osborne doing a little bit further back in 9th place. And what they're really going to do is try and push hard, as I think we're going back to replay to go see that incident with the 18.
Absolutely, and we see the 18 here on the inside of Josh Douglas going into turn 4 and just noses into him. Definitely not intentional, as that gets her definitely out of line here, but manages to keep it all together, does Natalie. So, early on, you can attribute that. It takes, to be honest, I don't know how much you've run here at Richmond, but it takes about 5 laps for these tires to come up to a good temperature.
Yeah, it does. And with this tire model that iRacing has, it really is important to keep these tires cool early on, because once you start to slip and slide and spin, they heat up, especially that right rear. And once it heats up, it's real tough to get that tire cooled back down to build that grip back up to get those runs that you had before. The other thing it does is it really puts a lot of pressure. As we see, Kevin has an issue in 1 and 2. Looks like everybody's still going, and we are under yellow.
We are under yellow now here with 8 laps in. And we'll take a look here at Kevin Mitchell in just a hot second. And we're taking a look at Kevin Mitchell here going into turn 2. Just waiting to see where he wrecked.
Yeah, what you see is, as you're kind of looking for it, in 1 and 2, he drifts up in the center of the corner. These guys, I'm starting to hear, are talking a little bit of a tight scenario, but he just drifts up out of the corner, and with how tight and sharp that corner is, he gets up into the wall and gets turned around by...
We're about to see.
The 127.
The 127 is Matthew Allen. Matthew Allen, of course, your league sponsor from L&C Automotive Repair. As we pull that up. As Matt Allen in the 127 is our league sponsor. The Way She Goes Racing League is presented proudly by L&C Automotive Repair in Dolgeville, New York. L&C Automotive is named for the 2 children of Matthew Allen, driver of the number 127, as we had just mentioned, and he has been in business since 2019. Matt performs all basic automotive services from oil changes and brakes to tune-ups and everything in between. So whether you're racing around the high bank turns of Daytona International Speedway or going to the grocery store, Matthew has the tools and experience to take care of every automotive need. And something you may not know, Greg, is that the day, I believe it was the day that this deal came together several weeks ago, I guess 7 weeks ago now, when they came to SRM looking for us to do the broadcast, Basically, Matthew had stepped up and said, hey, I'm willing to, sponsor this racing series because he believes in everything that they do here in the Way She Goes Racing League. I mean, you're going to see not only some exciting racing, but also a community. I mean, one of the things that I've talked to Tony about, Tony Trapasso about, is the general camaraderie that we see out here in the Way She Goes. Basically, we don't hear a whole lot of trash talking on the race radio. These folks are out here encouraging one another and doing the best that they can, and getting people involved in this league. And obviously, Matt believed in that very heavily. So glad to have him part of this family here.
Yeah, that's always great to hear when you've got, whether it's an owner or a sponsor and somebody that's really committed and really wants to see a league succeed. I run myself in a league on Friday nights. We used to run on Mondays. But it's tough, and kind of speaking from experience being an admin there, when you don't have the right people in the right places, it's tough to see a league succeed. So certainly the fact that these guys and gals are so committed to this league, sponsors are so committed to it, it really lets not only us put on a great show, but especially the drivers. It lets everybody be a little more free, a little more aggressive, and really have some fun with it all.
Absolutely. And that iRacing.com pace car getting ready to dive down pit road as Joseph Mahar in the Burnt Rubber Media #1 Chevrolet Toyota Camry brings us back to green. My goodness, all of a sudden I forgot how to talk. As we are back under green here at Richmond, and I'll tell you what, right now we see Joseph Mahar on the outside of Jesse Whittington, and Whittington not willing to give up that lead as they are neck and neck going at it hammer and tongs right now into turn 3 and 4, coming back to the start finish line.
Yeah, you saw the 46 get really high there on corner exit. The one of Whittington got a great restart. Going back and looking, I saw the same thing. Tony Edwards was real cautious on this restart again. He wasn't to the back bumper of Whittington, but as we see Whittington go high to try and hold that advantage of that upper line, you're able to pull a little bit more speed on corner exit. And with the progressive banking that 3 and 4 has, it actually helps settle that car and will build you a little bit more tight than if you were on the bottom lane. As you see, this gap that he's now able to pull on Mahar behind him, he's up to about 4/10 now, and he's starting to really pull away.
Absolutely. Oh, and it looks like the 54 has just gotten nosed into the wall. We are going to be under caution here on lap number 16 as Natalie Cunningham involved in this incident as well. We'll take a look and see just what happened. As, of course, tonight iRacing Replay wants to be just a little slower than I prefer. Yeah, it's fine when we're rehearsing, but as soon as we go live, all of a sudden it says, no, I'm here to take my time. As we see Natalie Cunningham going into turn 3, we see the 54, driven by Derek Nolan, just spinning around. And we will go back to where Derek was here as the 311 of Brandon Ring comes on the inside, gets himself just a little wound up.
You saw the 311 of Brandon Ring. He dove it a little bit deep. The tires locked up a little, and he just slid straight up the track, got into Nolan, and it happened. Everything went downhill from there. A lot of cars got involved in that wreck. We're back.
Sorry about that. There was a transition issue here with SDK.
As we look now, we see what happened to... Why did Whittington connect? Whittington just disconnected from your lead. Your leader pulled it down pit road and disconnected. Not sure if he had an issue or not. Your new leader is the 46 of Joseph Mahar, as they are all lined up behind the pace car here. We are currently 18 laps in. We've seen some folks in the back come in, take tires. I think right now, if it were me, if I were in the car, it's a little early for me. We haven't had a long enough run. We've really kind of run, five to 7 lap segments before we get a yellow. If it were me, I'm fighting for track position here. But certainly, if you're towards the back, everybody has 4 sets of tires here tonight. So we'll see. You don't want to burn through that set too quickly, especially if you think there's going to be a late race incident. But we'll see what happens here tonight as we sit here under yellow.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're just tuning in, we do want to apologize for the black screen that you had just seen, as there was a technical difficulty between OBS, our studio program, and YouTube. But we are back, and there are some beautiful paint schemes to check out here. And if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. Give us a shout as Lizette Montez, the girlfriend of Angelo Zuski in the number 11. She is, of course, pulling for him. Let me just say here that Lizette has been watching every week. And last week, correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, as I know that you're watching, you did win one of the Sim Racing Media giveaways that we had on the air that Mr. James Riles was sharing with everyone. But talk about dedication. This league has a group of dedicated viewers every week. We see some new faces, and we're glad to have those new faces in with us. But, of course, we're glad to hang out with our friends, too, here in the YouTube chat. We have Carl Hoskins saying, "Let's go, Clark." And another Clark Franz fan is in the house, called out by Scott Franz. So, this league definitely gets friends and family involved here. And we encourage you to call more friends and get their eyeballs to their computers and phones and everywhere else here on ESBN. As we get ready to come back green, the pace car lights are out, heading down the back straightaway. Joseph Mahar atop the pile right now with Tony Edwards, John Osborne, Tommy Devers, and Scott Thomas. Your top 5. And in a minute here, Greg, I want to bring up G. Scott Thomas, driver of the number 75 Nissan. That's a Ford. That's a Ford. Or Nissan. That's a Ford. That's a Nissan. It's got to be my favorite paint scheme every week, just because I get to have a little bit of fun with it. As we are back green flag racing on lap 22 of 200 here at Richmond Raceway. Joseph Mahar getting the jump over top of Tony Edwards, who, of course, had started on the pole this evening. Now, I want to take, like I said, a look back here at G. Scott Thomas in this number 79 Ford. Check out the paint scheme on that. It's a Nissan. It's Nissan paint over a Ford, and it looks really, really good.
I love that. That is fantastic. Even the front end, he's got it looking like a GTR. That is beautiful. I absolutely love that paint scheme. I got to keep that in mind now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of drivers doing the Dodge and the Mopar paint schemes, but I had never seen until the Way She Goes Racing League and G. Scott Thomas the Nissan paint scheme. So definitely something to keep an eye on here, as these drivers work very hard to update these paints. And we're taking a look right now as Natalie Cunningham working the inside of the number 8 car yet again. I'm sorry, the number 9 car of Robert Devers, that Chevrolet, as he goes to the outside to make way for Natalie, as she has now secured 15th position. And along with her is Josh Douglas on the inside, making his way alongside Michael Cunningham, as these two drivers look like they're kind of working together, as Josh Douglas knows that Natalie is definitely capable of getting him to the promised land in the top 10.
Yeah, right now, you're still early in the run. The key is just to be patient. We're on lap 26 of 200. We got a long race ahead of us. Don't burn up those front tires. Try and keep everything cool. And I'm not talking just your head or your tires. I'm talking, don't put yourself in a scenario where you're getting heated against another driver, because it's going to be a long night ahead of you, and they can very easily get you or themselves into some trouble.
Absolutely. And, you're right. It's a long night. Far too often we see drivers get antsy on lap 30, which of course we're approaching right now. It looks like the 81 car getting a little wild here as G. Scott Thomas chasing down the 11 of Angelo Zuski in that FedEx Denny Hamlin tip of the cap. And G. Scott Thomas now falling single file behind Andrew. But Angelo Zuski now with Tommy Devers on his inside as Tommy able to hold that yellow line here. That seems to be one of the secrets to Richmond because, of course, that makes it very uncomfortable for the driver in the top line to be able to get that turn started. And this is not the kind of racetrack where you can afford to use a high arc.
No, right here. Oh, as the 79 gets into the 11 and 3 and puts him into the wall.
And I am
that
sure
was incidental contact, but absolutely, that's a tough shot right there. As the 79 dove it in a little bit deep, got into the back end of the 11, and just slid him right up the track.
Absolutely, and we're taking a look at it now as we can see the 79 just touching that left rear quarter panel of Angelo Zuski, but we stay under green here at Richmond Raceway, now with Ozuski getting himself back into the groove. Not sure if he has burned that fast repair or not tonight, so hopefully he can get back underway, as it looks like the 8 of Josh Douglas still working the inside of Natalie Cunningham. Josh Douglas, of course, down a lap from the earlier incident tonight with Natalie, and we check in with our race leader, Joseph Mahar, who is 0.3 of a second over top of Tony Edwards. And Tony just out here logging laps. I mean, more often than not, especially in this league, we start to see the patient drivers like Tony Edwards, who dominated last week at Circuit of the Americas, or COTA as it's disaffectionately known. Very patient, logged those laps, and got himself in the position to run away with that race.
Yeah, COTA is a very technical and a very fast track. That's an entirely different animal in itself. But one thing I'm kind of interested watching Edwards right now, you talked about that high arc. What he's doing is I've been watching him start to diamond the corner, especially in 1 and 2, to really get that late apex dive. He doesn't really do it here. But what he's been doing is driving the car in a little deeper, kind of drifting up to that second lane, and then letting the car over rotate and essentially getting a straighter line off that funky corner number 2 to get a better run down the backstretch to get to the back end of Mahar. And that's something we've seen while Mahar's just been kind of holding that bottom, and he just sits there and he's riding and painting the yellow line is the phrase that they say. But it's going to be interesting seeing those different driving styles and what they're going to do and how they're going to affect the cars later on. As you see here, the 118 takes that really high entry, arcs it back down to the bottom to get that real straight line, and he really is able to close the gap as they come into 3, and you're going to see him do the same thing here in 3 and 4, arc the corner, straight line off, and he's really able to get close to the back end. That may be a move that's going to let him get the undercut later in this race as things go on.
37 laps complete of 200 tonight here in the Way She Goes Racing League. Your race leader, Joseph Mahar, over top of Tony Edwards, and lots of good racing all over the track tonight as we're taking a closer look here at Kevin Mitchell in the number 12 Toyota Camry. And that M&M's mobile up 9 positions from where he had qualified tonight, running in 5th right now. And one thing with Kevin Mitchell is that he is always going to be there toward the end. Honestly, I don't know if you're familiar with the Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gott's podcast, but if we were watching or if we were listening to that right now, I'd be calling Guillermo and say, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is Kevin Mitchell always there? It just seems like Kevin is always working, further and further front. He seems to be one of the consistent biggest movers every week.
Yeah, and that's key, especially at such a tough track like Richmond is. It's repetitive. It's so repetitive, and you have to be. You're hitting the same braking points every time. You're hitting, you're getting back on the gas at the same point in the center of the corner. And you can vary it up a little bit, especially with this next-gen car and the bigger brake packages that they've got. Compared to the old Gen 6 Cup car, this car, you're really able to drive it into the corner a lot harder than you used to be able to. And some folks, and I'll put myself in that, it's tough to get used to. You know, you go to a place like a Martinsville, a Richmond like this, and you're so used to your old braking points and your old brake bias and how you have to enter the corner. This next gen car is completely different. You are able to drive so much deeper, get on the brakes later, get on the brakes harder. As you see everybody kind of coming around the 15 car here of Clark Franz, looks like he may be having a little bit of an issue. But yeah, it's very different. And as you see, the 33 and the 12 is going to try and follow him underneath the 81 here of John Osborne. He's not quite close enough, but he's going to really arc it in late. 81 leaves him a little bit of room. Give the position to Kevin Mitchell in the center of 1 and 2.
Absolutely, and we're watching Tommy Devers now in the number 33 Chevrolet, sponsored by Nations Guard. And Tommy's starting to put a little bit of distance between himself and Kevin Mitchell, as he has now got about a half second between himself and Mitchell. And things starting to heat up all through the field tonight, as now we've got the number 29 car driven by Robert Hissong making his way up behind John Osborne in the number 81 Ford. And I'll tell you what, Robert Hissong definitely has proven why he belongs in this league. He is continually making those around him better. As you know, we're going to start to see, probably once he gets around the 81, these two start to run together. And, you know, right now, Hissong 4th in season standings with the championship on the line. Of course, it's a long season, so things are definitely going to be changing. But for Robert Hissong with 2 wins, I got to believe he thinks that ticket is punched to be there at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you get a win, and especially in a league, and this is my first race here tonight, and I'm already seeing the competitiveness that this group has, and it's exciting. It makes you, you know, me being a driver, makes me want to get behind the wheel and hop in with them. But tonight, I'm up on the other side of the glass, on the other side of the windshield here, and I'm loving this fight and the battles that you're seeing all the way through the field, not just back here and from 3rd to 5th. You know, the leaders have kind of split a little bit of a gap. Mahar's gotten away a little bit, but you're seeing fights 7th and 8th. You're seeing people, you know, even back 10th, 11th. There are fights going on, and it's all because of the competitive nature that this group has, and the nature that they've shown just here alone tonight. You're going to get these long runs, and you're really going to see, you know, the cream of the crop rise up. But
Absolutely.
It's great.
Absolutely. And one thing that I've always been really interested to see, especially here with the Way She Goes Racing League, is the fact that they are a fixed setup league. You know, these drivers are out here.
Oh, the 12 has an issue. Sorry to interrupt. The 12 had a big issue coming at it too, and slammed the inside wall really hard there.
We'll take a look at that as soon as we can, but we are 50 laps in. I'm feeling like we're going to start to see more cars starting to have an issue, as those tires definitely starting to wear in. As now Angelo Zuski is coming down pit road. We'll take a look and see what he's coming down for. I'm assuming it's going to be his standard service, as they do have quite a few sets of tires tonight here at Richmond, as that number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry coming down for some repair. Doesn't look like he's taking his fast repair, but it looks like he will be taking 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast.
Yeah, I think right now he was able to stay competitive. He was able to keep pace with a majority of the field. If he gets a yellow, I expect him to sit and repair as much damage as he can. But right now, I agree. I would not be taking that fast repair. We're too early into this run. But here's the interesting thing you saw. He came in and is now 2 laps down, but he's got 4 fresh tires, and he is going to fly by those leaders just ahead of him there, of Edwards and Mahar. And if we kind of keep an eye on him, I think in about 2 to 3 laps, you're really going to see him get up there, and he's going to fly past those leaders. So that's going to be something that everybody's going to have to keep in mind here tonight, is as this race and as this fuel run goes on, if you come into pit, you are pretty much guaranteed to be going 2 laps down unless you are first or second place.
Absolutely. And while green flag pit stops are about to be underway here in the next couple of laps, as we have now seen them begin, we're going to step away and take a break, and you're going to hear from our new sponsor on ESBN right now.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, the rocket! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
We are back here live at Richmond, lap 59 of 200. Under yellow for an incident between the 9 and the 127 car. Nothing outside of just a racing deal. The 127 kind of rolling that middle line in 1 and 2. As he's getting to the exit, gets a little bit loose and just comes down into the 9. Nothing either driver could really do at that point. But it does bring out the yellow, and as you saw in the side-by-sides, we had wholesale pit stops of the field. Everybody coming in, taking 4 tires. They're all probably saying, thank you, we appreciate it, we needed this, except for one person, the 11 of Andrew. Andrew is most likely yelling and screaming because he came in about 5 laps ago and took his set of fresh tires and now had to fight his way back. Luckily fought his way to get 1 lap down right before that yellow came out, but he's now forced to stay out. He's got 10 lap old tires versus everybody else's fresh set, Dave, and I think he's going to get himself back on the lead lap here, which is great, but he's going to be hurting for a little while until these tires all level out.
Olszewski will be back on the lead lap when we go 1 to go here, as he will go around the pace car at the start-finish line. And good to see Andrew back where he belongs because, definitely a driver that I enjoy watching every week from Rockford, Illinois. And, that FedEx machine definitely has some scar tissue there on both sides. It almost looked like somebody squeezed it between their hands while he was giving it some throttle. But, here's the thing. Now we've got everybody, with the exception of Angelo Zuski, on those fresh tires, as you had just mentioned. Now he is 10 laps older on tires than everybody else, and we see him coming around now to get that lap back. It definitely shouldn't take him long, as it looks like himself, Kevin Kitzman, and Josh Douglas all will be making their way around, as Kevin Kitzman, I believe, would have been the lucky dog. We'll find out once iRacing timing and scoring gets caught up. Taking a look now at Josh Mahar from Orange Park, Florida, your race leader in the number 46 Chevrolet with Tony Edwards on the outside. Tommy Devers on the inside of row 2 with Robert Hissong just behind. That's interesting. And these drivers getting ready to go back and do battle as we are under green here on lap number 62 of 200 in the Way She Goes Racing League, brought to you by L&C Automotive Repair. And next time you're up there in Dolgeville, New York, do not, and I really mean it, do not hesitate to swing through L&C Automotive Repair, which without L&C, we wouldn't be here tonight on the air, myself or Greg. And I'm Dave Riegel alongside Greg McConey in the ESBN broadcast booth, brought to you by the Jones Racing Setup Shop. You can check them out on Facebook. That's Facebook at Jones Racing Setups. And, of course, this league sponsored by L&C Automotive Repair up in Dolgeville, New York, as we are under caution again, as Natalie Cunningham may have gotten herself wrapped up here in another incident. We'll go back, and I'm willing to bet that it's probably going to be a cold tires situation.
Yeah, she just, both her, Natalie, and then got into the 12 of Kevin. But yeah, Natalie just had trouble getting off the exit of 2, like you said, on cold tires. In the process, ends up hooking the 12 of Kevin Mitchell. And in an unrelated incident, Kevin Kitzman spun himself right behind that group in the same spot coming at it too.
And what we see here, we saw there that Natalie Cunningham had come out of the turn and basically wound up overcorrecting herself. And I'll tell you what, once these next-gen cars with that independent suspension get loose and start floating around, basically, if you can't get it stopped, you might as well just wait for the wall. As, she did basically save it without wrecking, anybody around her, wrecking someone's night around her. But lap 66 under caution again, Greg.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of people to be staying out here. And like you were talking about, this next gen with the new body style that they've got, unlike, I always go back to the Gen 6 because that's what we had that's what we had for the last, almost 10 years, I'd say. This next gen car is not skewed to the right like the other cars were, where if you started spinning, it was a lot easier to catch that car because you had so much more side force being pushed on that rear end, whereas this next gen car doesn't have that. And in iRacing, the easiest way that I've found to save this car is to lock the tires. You honestly have to slam the brake as hard as you can, lock everything up, and it actually kind of seems to correct the car enough for you to, let off, play the throttle, and get yourself going again. But just a tough situation for Natalie, tough situation for the 12. You're going to see more of that tonight as this track goes on, as the temperature continues to decrease here. The track temperature will continue to decrease, which is going to put a little bit more speed into the track. So people are going to want to be pushing more and more. And I think you're still going to see the same issue of people breaking loose and just running into, the same thing of coming around, coming loose on exit. So we'll see. The key will be who can control that the most and who can keep the car going straight the longest.
Absolutely. And, I did take a look down there in the pits, and Natalie Cunningham must have already burned that fast repair this evening. So looks like she's going to be getting repaired for at least a little while. As the damage model on these next-gen cars on iRacing.com kind of varies. There are hits that you take that all of a sudden you've got the meatball flag, and 15 minutes of repair. And then there are other hits that you think, wow, I just annihilated my car. And you've got 4 minutes of optional. It's so strange out here. But as we're getting ready to go back green, we take a look at Joseph Mahar and Tony Edwards atop the pile with Tommy Devers, Robert Hissong, Brandon Ring, Derek Nolan, John Osborne, Matthew Allen, G. Scott Thomas, and Angelo Zuski, your top 10, as we are back under green here on lap number 70 of 200. And, of course, we see that Joseph Mahar getting himself out to a healthy lead yet again, not afraid to put some distance between himself and Tony Edwards. And, Tony is one of those drivers, wow, we saw him just get an incredible run from turn 3 to turn 4. One of those drivers that is really able to roll that center and close the gap and keep himself right there. And it's almost like Tony's lurking.
He is. And right now, with where we are, we're 71 laps into this race. We still haven't even hit the halfway point. There's no need to go out and try and kill your tires right now. Right now, Tony and even Tommy Devers, they're playing the long game. They're playing the game to minimize your tire wear, keep yourself as close as you can to the guy ahead of you. Because if you remember, before we had this little string of yellows, as you see Edwards get loose there, before we had the string of yellows, Mahar and Edwards had pulled themselves almost, to, as we are under yellow, I think we had a car go around. Was that Allen, the 127? Yes, it was. Like we said, just going to be competitive racing, guys getting loose. I think we had the same issue as Natalie did. Yeah, just broke itself loose and away he went.
I'll tell you what, that was definitely an artful way to save it as he came out of turn 2. Let's run this back again, folks, because I find myself being so interested in watching, these drivers make their way, away from the wall and saving these cars, as we see here from the rear of Matthew Allen now. We see him rolling out of turn 2. The car breaks loose, and he locked it up just like you said, Greg. And at this point, now he's totally locked all 4 wheels and gets himself held up.
Yeah, he's able to keep that car off of either wall. The inside or the outside does a great job there. I expect him to come in and maybe take a set of tires. Everybody else around you is about 15 laps, has about 15 laps on their tires, so wouldn't hurt him to come in and get a fresh set. But it looks like Matthew is going to stay out. Yes, he is. So he's going to have to be real cautious here for the next few laps unless he can really get those rear ends cooled down. But that'll be interesting. The good thing is, like we said, kept it off the walls. He doesn't have any damage to that car. So it's essentially like it never happened.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're just tuning in, as I see there are several people watching the race right now on YouTube, I'm Dave Regal alongside Greg McConey in the ESBN broadcast booth, bringing you all of this amazing racing action from the Way She Goes Racing League. We have 75 laps complete of 200 here at Richmond Raceway, just off of I-95 here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And definitely things starting to heat up, as, the saying goes, caution breeds caution. And, we ran several laps green, and now things are starting to become a little bit more closely grouped together. Woo! I almost couldn't get that one all the way out. Looking ahead, though, there's definitely several things going on in the sports world, as tomorrow is opening day for a vast majority of baseball teams in Major League Baseball, as the Cubs will be hosting the Brewers at 2:20 p.m. And of course, that's the earliest part of the game of the schedule tomorrow, with the debut of the Cleveland Guardians. Of course, they were just renamed from another team name in Cleveland, and now they are the Cleveland Guardians, visiting Kauffman Stadium there in Kansas City, Missouri. We have the Pirates Cardinals at 4:15. Of course, you can catch all of these on your regional sports networks, and it looks, I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but it almost looks like tomorrow night's primetime game between the Red Sox and the Yankees has been postponed. So definitely some nasty weather here on the East Coast, but something to look forward to. And speaking of schedules, on Sim Racing Media, if you follow us on Facebook, Sim Racing Media on Facebook, you can check out all of our of the races that we have coming up right now. And man, Greg, the schedule is always full. It seems like there's nothing but excitement going on, as we have 15 broadcasts a week right now. Of course, here we are on a Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. with the Way She Goes Racing League. About a half hour before us, as we see Joseph Mahar get ready to take the green flag. And we will be back under green on lap number 77 here. Anyway, so about a half hour before us, the Thunderclap Stock Car Series is on ESBN, of course, on YouTube. And that, of course, has Mr. Frank Marchese and Tony Trapasso, the ESBN Sim Racing Media Employee of the Month over there. Myself and Greg will be here every Wednesday night with the Way She Goes Racing League at 9 p.m. And also at 9:10 p.m. is the Ghost Cup Series. Thursdays at 7 o'clock is the USRA, followed by, on Fridays, a triple header between Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series and the Wicked Sim Racing Series at 9, with the Kool-Aid Monster Next Gen Cup Series at 9:30. Now, Saturdays we have set aside for one-time shows. You know, if you have a fundraiser or a charity race that you would like broadcast, you know, we can always do our best to accommodate you. But with so many shows during the week, sometimes it's nice to just take a night off and breathe. As I know, Tony's working several nights. Tony Trapasso is working several nights a week, and definitely has earned the title of ESBN Employee of the Month. Sunday night Sunday afternoon starts the quadruple header on ESBN and Sim Racing Media. The IFL Series is at 3:30 p.m., followed by ISNF at 5:30 p.m., then the Fired Up eSports League at 7:30 p.m., and your nightcap at 8:30 in prime time on ESBN is the Davis Brothers Roofing Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series, of course available on ESBN. Mondays is reserved for cleanracing.net at 8:30 with some slots available yet. And Tuesday is here. I don't know if you know about this league yet, but the Night Shift Racing League. Have you heard about that yet, Greg?
I have not, Dave. Tell me about them.
Okay, so get this. There, you know, a lot of our races, as you're hearing me rattle these things off, you know, is 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, or, by the way, side note, Tony Trapasso and I do call the Western States Racing League at 10:15 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the All-American Racing League is at 7:30 p.m. So you see all of these, you know, evening race series racing leagues on ESPN. It doesn't, if you work second or third shift, you really don't have an opportunity to get onto iRacing and, you know, do anything competitive, because during the day there's nobody on. So the Night Shift Racing League is a bunch of guys and gals who are working second and third shift that get together at noon every Tuesday and have their weekly race. And it's, of course, broadcast here on ESPN. And it's just a really cool idea, Greg.
No, absolutely. And like you said, I've been on during the day, and it gets pretty vacant on the iRacing servers, depending on what you're looking for. So that league sounds fantastic. I'm going to try and tune in at times when I'm at work, because most of the time I'm looking for something to listen to. while I'm getting all my stuff done. So I'm definitely going to start tuning in. You said that was noon on Tuesdays, correct?
Yes, sir. And it's just something really cool. I think it's a different kind of idea. And also, folks, keep your eyes peeled for the new Sim Racing Media Money Stop podcast with Tony Trapasso and myself at the microphones. And we'll be bringing you some really exciting SRM and ESBN news, information, a little bit of fun, as Tony and I vibe pretty well together. And it's a lot of fun. We've recorded the first episode, and it's getting edited and should be dropping any time now, so we're definitely excited about that. And speaking of excitement, Robert Hissong chasing down Tommy Devers here in that battle for third, as it appears, if I can bring up that battle box, as it appears that Hissong has decided to try to get himself within about 0.4 of a second behind Devers. And 0.4 of a second, you don't think, you feel like, wow, that's a long distance. But look at this, guys and gals. I mean, they are close. I mean, one mistake from Tommy Devers and Robert Hissong is going to wrestle that third podium spot away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way to think about it is 1/10 of a second is essentially 1 car length. So if we talk about he's 4 car lengths back, he's 6 car lengths, he's 3/10, it's all kind of that same lingo. That's the easiest way for someone to picture it. But I'm going to segue back to what you talked about before with the MLB schedule starting up. My Boston Red Sox facing off against the New York Yankees. Sadly, the game, yes, has been postponed due to inclement weather. But you talk about a rivalry in sports. The Red Sox and the Yankees, one of the most historic rivalries, not just in baseball, but in any sports. I'll put that up against anything. Green Bay, Chicago. I'll put that, you go anywhere with that. But we talk about a rivalry. I'll tell you what, Joseph Mahar and Tony Edwards have been fighting each other back and forth at the top of this standings now for this entire race. Edwards had that little hiccup in the beginning that let Mahar and Jesse Whittington get in front. Whittington is no longer in this race tonight, but Mahar and Edwards, the rivalry between them here at Richmond has been phenomenal to watch. And I'll tell you what, you're seeing, like we talked on before, 2 different driving styles. Edwards is really drifting the center up to diamond the corner for that straight run. Mahar is just able to let that car roll so well on that bottom line that it's really going to get interesting the longer this race goes on.
Absolutely. I mean, you're starting to pick up on what in many leagues we would call the usual suspects. And Tony Edwards definitely has put together some consistency here. Of course, only another battle that you're not seeing right now is Kevin Mitchell, Robert Hissong, and Robert Devers. There are only 6 points that are separating those 3 drivers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the championship standings. I mean, we're going to look right here at Devers and Hissong as they are running 3rd and 4th right now, as Hissong now wrestles 3rd away from him like I said he would. And, then we have Kevin Mitchell running back in 11th. And Kevin Mitchell, like I was saying earlier, if Guillermo could answer the poll, Kevin Mitchell, he is always there. And right now what he needs is a good caution to get himself grouped back up with this field, as he is on the lead lap. But I'll tell you what, that number 12 M&M's Toyota Camry definitely looks like it has seen better days here, as that rear end is completely gone.
Yeah, it is, and that's very common of short track racing here, especially with iRacing, that damage model like we mentioned before. It's very funky. You could tap the right side and it'll make your rear bumper disappear. It's not as stable as it normally is like you have in real life. But Kevin Mitchell sitting 3rd in the points right now. He's 23 points back of Tony Edwards in the lead. So he's trying to just minimize whatever damage he can, minimize his point loss as best as he can. Like you said, with a good yellow, he's already burned his fast repair. But with a timely yellow, you never know. I expect at least one more pit stop throughout this race, as we are actually under yellow right now. Let's see if we can find out whom might have had
Looks
the
like
issue.
Michael Cunningham had an issue, so obviously I had laid out the broadcaster's curse. Folks, you can send your hate mail to Dave Regal, care of ESBN in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, as obviously I couldn't help but bring out that broadcaster's curse as the 44 of Michael Cunningham just rubs the wall here. Fortunately, does not take anybody else with him, as he, of course, quickly jumps to the pits to get that car repaired. And we do see now Joseph Mahar. Why is that? Oh, here we go. Joseph Mahar and just about everybody on the lead lap parading down pit road as Mahar in the number 46 Poppy Bank Chevrolet leads the pack. Right now, the Pied Piper of Richmond, Virginia, followed by Tony Edwards, Robert Hissong, Tommy Devers, Brandon Ring, and everybody all the way down through Robert Devers in the number 9 Chevrolet coming down pit road, leaving Kevin Kitzman out atop the pile, who last came in on lap number 58 for pit service.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Kitzman stays out. He's got 42 laps on his tires right now as we just passed the halfway point and are on lap 101 out of 200 here for the Way She Goes Racing League, broadcasted by ESPN. I'm interested to see him stay out. He's only pitted once during this race, so we know he has plenty of tire left. I don't know if I'd be willing, if it were me, I don't know if I'd be willing to play this kind of game right now. You know, we saw Andrew Olszewski? Olszewski. I'll get it. It's night one. Give me a couple weeks and I'll start having these names down. Andrew Olszewski in the 11, he had 10 lap older tires than everybody else, and he was actually able to kind of hold pace. But 43 lap old tires now. Kevin's going to get eaten up. I think he's either praying for a quick yellow. No, actually looks like he's coming in now. So he's going to come in now, get to the back of the pack, and just kind of, you know, play the waiting game. And with where you are, we're on lap 102. You still got half the race to go. Not a bad strategy. Keep yourself in a good spot. Keep your car clean. You know, don't go a lap down. Save your fast repair. It's not a bad move right now to be doing that as he slides through his pit box. So that's going to hand the lead back over to Joseph Mahar, with Tony Edwards sitting in second place. Third place is Robert Hissong. Fourth place, Tommy Devers. And rounding out your top 5 is Brandon Ring, as we are on lap 103 out of 200 here at ESBN.
And folks, just a quick word about Kevin Kitzman driving the number 93 Oasis Cannabis Superstore, number 93 Toyota Camry. He is the co-commissioner here of the Way She Goes Racing League, along with his fiancee, Natalie Cunningham, driver of the number 18 tonight, M&M's Toyota Camry. And these two folks have put on an amazing league. This couple, you know, obviously they live together, they race together. I've seen their setup, and I'll tell you what, Greg, it is a thing of beauty. I mean, they have 2 racing setups in the same room. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of bandwidth that they're hijacking from the rest of the neighborhood. But I'm guessing that when they fire up on a Wednesday night for the Way She Goes Racing League, the lights probably dim in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I could see that. Not just that, you know, we're racers ourselves, and you'll know, Dave, as well as I do, as we come back to green, there's a lot of yelling that can happen as races go on, and you get around those that you know.
I am more than guilty, as we are back under green, I am more than guilty of waking my wife up because she usually falls asleep while I'm racing on a Sunday night in Davis Brothers Roofing, Sunday Night NASCAR on Sim Racing Media and ESPN. And sometimes something stupid will happen, and next thing you know, I'm screaming hysterically, and, you know, then I'm in the doghouse. It's not hard to get myself in the doghouse. I do it with some frequency.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I race Friday nights with the Circle B Diecast Rowdy Energy Super Speedway series with the iRacing East series, also hosted here at ESBN and Sim Racing Media. But yes, my wife, there's nights where she'll go to bed and I'll get a text of, "You need to quit yelling. You've woke me up. Don't wake the baby up or you're going to be in trouble." So I am myself all too guilty of the same thing, as we've got some great battling here. Sitting back around 8th, 9th place with the 11, the 81, and the 54, as the 81 takes a huge dive into 3. The 54 washes up. Everybody gets through clean and green right now, but the 54 is going to fall back. The 11 of Andrew and the 81 of John put a great battle as, the 79 of G. Scott Thomas slides up a little bit and he'll fall back. But like we talked on, you're starting to see these tires heat up a little bit. Guys are getting a little more confident. They're getting a little more racy. We're past the halfway point. The intensity, we were sitting around a 3 to a 4. Right now, we've started to click the intensity up to about a 5. And it won't be long until we are maxed out as we get later on in this run. And there's going to be a lot more taking than there is giving.
Absolutely. And we can see G. Scott Thomas, Matthew Allen, and Kevin Mitchell here in that blue, black, and then white racing machines out here. Those blue, black, white, and racing machines. Wow. Somebody needs to learn how to talk. We just saw them in just an absolute knot. And now they've strung themselves out to single file, which is something that I've seen that seems to be pretty characteristic here, as the number 29 of Robert Hissong working the rear of Robert Devers fairly heavily right now, as he is now going to wedge Devers out of the way and hold that bottom line, as it takes away the ability for Devers to come down and block when you're that close, because Devers knows that if he comes down, that air is going to come off the rear diffuser, and that car is going to become light as a feather.
Yeah, it will. Like we talked on before, since these cars aren't skewed like the old ones are, any bit of side force that you get on the car ahead of you, if you can get to that rear bumper, that left rear, it's going to really loosen that car up, like you said, and shoot them up the track. As you see the 29 of Hissong dive underneath the 9 of Devers. He's able to get that position in 3, and as he comes to the line, he's looking to chase down the 12 of Kevin Mitchell and the 79 of Scott Thomas.
Absolutely. And folks, as we are ticking the laps by here on lap number 113 of 200, we are going to step aside and let you folks turn it up at home and hear the incredible sounds of this race.
drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Welcome back to the Way She Goes Racing League, broadcasted here by Sim Racing Media. I'm Greg McConey, here for the first time in the booth with Dave Regal, the head honcho of the broadcast here tonight. We are currently on lap 129 of 200 up front. Joseph Mahar has pulled himself out to a 0.6 of a second lead over Tony Edwards, who is another 5 seconds ahead of Tommy Devers, followed by Brandon Ring and Derek Nolan rounding out your top 5. Dave, we saw in commercial there was a little bit of contact with the 127 into the wall. He's still up and rolling. We're still staying green. You know, these guys are really getting into a long run, and you're really starting to see who is able to save tire and who's going to be struggling until the caution comes out.
Absolutely. And, folks, if you are watching us on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications, as we're glad to have you in with us tonight in the broadcast. We're brought to you by Jones Racing Setups, as, we'll talk about the difference between fixed and open setups. Burnt Rubber Media did want to let us know, I believe that was Jesse Whittington, who had dropped out earlier, did give us a shout in the YouTube live chat. He had a family emergency, so he will see us next week. But folks, keep your thoughts with Jesse, as we don't know, of course, what his family emergency may be. But one of the things that's unique about this league is it is a family kind of atmosphere. Everybody gets along really well. I mean, I know that you folks at home can't hear it, but I have the race radio in my headset, and I never really hear anybody yelling and screaming and fighting. There is a lot of encouragement going on in this league at all times, from stem to stern. And Bluegill 37 says for Robert Hissong, go babe, or come on babe, you got this. So Robert Hissong getting a shout out from obviously his significant other here at home. And Hissong has that number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet wound up tonight, as he is up 2 positions, running in 8th right now, followed by G. Scott Thomas in my favorite paint scheme, as we get a really good camera shot of it. The King, North Carolina native in the Nissan that's a Ford, that's a Nissan that's actually really a Ford.
I love that paint. That's such an awesome paint. I do some paints on the side, and that is one of the best ones I've seen.
I will talk about that every week.
Oh, when I see that thing on track, we're going to need some good screenshots of that car, because that is brilliant. As you see right behind him, nope, that was not Matthew Allen. The 9's getting pressured here by the 44 of Michael Cunningham, who was just, I believe, in on pit road about 12 laps ago, so he's got fresh tires. Right now, we're in the middle of a fuel run. Well, not the middle yet. So these guys running 75% fuel can go about 116 laps. Right now, the leaders are on a 36-lap stint. Right now, I don't expect anybody to be doing 116 laps. The tire fall off is massive. Right now, these guys were running their best laps at 22.6s, 22.7s. Right now, the leader, Joseph Mahar in clean air, his best was a 22.68. His last lap was a 23.74. So right now, 30 laps in, we're already over a second back from fastest times, and that time just continues to grow. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to pull that trigger first and is going to come down pit road, get that set of tires, keeping in mind that you're probably going to end up going 2 laps down. But if you can time it right and you get a long enough run after it, you're going to see guys come in, pit, and even though you were 2 laps down, it takes a few laps to get ahead of the leaders. But like we said, you're talking over a second now in lap time that you're going to be saving. As you see, a lot of good racing here going on. Still up front, Joseph Mahar is about a second ahead of Tony Edwards, who is about another second back to Tommy Devers, as the 11 of Andrew I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Olszewski. I got to write that down. Olszewski. He has come down pit road, just as we talked about. He's come down pit road along with the 127 of Matthew Allen has also come down pit road. These guys are looking to get 4 fresh tires for Mr. Feelgoods, and they're going to try and force the hand of the others around them to pull them into pit road and see if they'll be able to use these tires to an advantage and do what's called traditionally in road courses the undercut, where you pit before the guy ahead of you, and in doing so you're trying to utilize the fresh tires that you've got in order to close the gap and get yourself ahead of them. Even if you may not be able to do it on pace alone, the fact that you pitted 2, 3, 4, 5 laps sooner and you've made up that second plus a lap on them, you're able to get yourself ahead of them, and you're typically able to hold that position at least for a while.
Absolutely. And speaking of gaps, right now, Joseph Mahar opening up a 1.4 second gap over Tony Edwards. Of course, Edwards, as we've mentioned, is your points leader, and Joseph Mahar, not your points leader, but is your race leader tonight with that 1.5, now 1.7 second gap over Tony Edwards. As it looks like Tony is able to close it, but right now these two drivers definitely very evenly spaced as far as getting things moving here. And, you know, speaking of getting things moving, we couldn't even be getting this broadcast moving without L&C Automotive Repair in Dolgeville, New York. The Way She Goes Racing League is proudly presented by Matthew Allen and L&C Automotive Repair in Dolgeville, New York. Of course, it is named for the 2 children of Matthew Allen, driver of the number 127 Ford. And he has been in business since 2019 and performs all basic automotive services, from oil changes and brakes to tune-ups and everything in between. So whether you're racing around the high bank turns of Daytona International Speedway or going grocery shopping, Matthew has the tools and experience to take care of every automotive need. And Matthew Allen right now a lap down, actually looks to be 2 laps down, just came into pit on lap 140, running in 12th position here in that blue number 127 Ford. So a big tip of the cap to Matthew, as without him, this league would not be here tonight. So glad to have him in with us at the racetrack. And, you know, so much going on in the world of iRacing, including here at Sim Racing Media and ESBN, as we have racing 6 nights a week. There's 15 races that we broadcast all week long. And Tuesday, of course, we have, or Monday, of course, we have cleanracing.net at 8:30 p.m. Then Tuesday we have the Night Shift Racing League, a new racing league to SRM and ESPN, as it looks like Tony Edwards got himself a little loose but corrected it coming through the tri-oval. The All-American Racing League at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and the Western States Racing League, of course, hosted by myself, Dave Regal, alongside my good friend and ESBN Employee of the Month, Tony Trapasso, who's currently working On the Thunderclap Stock Car Series here tonight, they start every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m., followed by us here on the Way She Goes Racing League with myself and Greg McConey at the microphones with the Ghost Cup Series at 9:10 p.m. Thursdays features one race, and that's the USRA Series at 7 p.m., but there are slots available on Monday and Thursday, as we do see Tony Edwards and Tommy Devers coming in for service, as they will get some 4 Mr. Feelgoods and 2 cans of Go Fast. This should be their money stop on lap number 152 of 200. And Friday nights is a triple header with the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series at 8:30 with the Wicked Sim Racing Series at 9 p.m. And your nightcap is the Kool-Aid Monster Next Gen Cup Series at 9:30 p.m. Then Sunday, of course, the big day in real life NASCAR is also a big day here on ESBN and Sim Racing Media, as we have a quadruple header, Greg. The IFL Series is at 3:30 p.m., followed by the ISNF, the Sunday Night Fever Series at 5:30 p.m. Then the Fired Up eSports League at 7:30 p.m. And your nightcap, as always, in prime time, is the Davis Brothers Roofing Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series at 8:30. So plenty of stuff going on, Greg.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing. Oh, as we see, who is that? That was the 118 that just slammed into the wall in turn 1. That was Tony Edwards on cold tires. Gets it all wrong on the entry and slides the rear end of that car into the wall. He's able to keep it going. There's no yellow right now, but that's going to hurt. That is not what Tony Edwards needed to see right now. You see, if we get to take a look at that car, that whole right side has been pancaked.
Absolutely. We see Tony going into turn 1, and those tires just not heated up enough, and he just kind of rockets against the wall, gets himself recovered, and back into traffic. But Tony Edwards now coming down pit road, and we'll see if we can get a good shot of this here tonight. This is going to be an interesting camera attempt, as we can see that right rear quarter panel just totally smashed in. But I would say at this point in the race, if he hasn't burned that fast repair, he should be. Now check this magic out from iRacing.com as Edwards brings it in, hits that fast repair, and boom! Brand new car, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, the other key with that is that he did not take a set of tires, so that was very smart on Edwards to remember to click off those tires, tell the crew chief no Moss tires right now, so that he can get out and stay. He is 2 laps down, but by not taking tires that he just took about 3 laps ago, he's able to stay ahead of Mahar, and he's going to be pulling ahead, like we talked on before, almost 1.5 seconds per lap faster than Mahar is. So he should be able to get back down to 1 lap. As you see right now, the only 2 on the lead lap are Joseph Mahar and John Osborne, the 46 and the 81. Now, the 81 car is almost 16 seconds back on Mahar, who's got himself out to a nice, comfortable lead. Mahar is banking and praying for a yellow right now because he is losing time every single corner that he comes in to those that just came in and got fresh tires. So he needs a yellow to come out for this strategy to really play out for him. Oh, as the 118 goes around again in turn 2, he's going to hit the inside wall, and that's a hard hit as he gets passed again by Mahar as the yellow is out. This is exactly what Mahar needed and the exact opposite of what Tony Edwards was hoping for.
And in just about the same location, but a little bit deeper into turn 1 and entering 2, you know, of course, Tony Edwards gets himself loose, as we just saw here on the replay screen. And, you know, I've got to be honest, I'm very similarly wired to Tony Edwards, where when that starts to, when you start to have that, you know, that spinning bug get you, you get yourself so frustrated that you start making those basic mistakes. And, you know, for me, I get a little bit impatient, especially when I know that I've got a faster car, or a fast enough car to be up here running first and second. And there I am, just kind of spinning around helplessly, frustrated. So I definitely understand how Tony Edwards is feeling right now. But Joseph Mahar and John Osborne have to be feeling some kind of sense of relief, as they are now coming in, as everybody else came in on about lap one. Looks like they came in from lap 151 through 156. The earliest was 140 and 132, but of course, Kitzman and his song, of course, separated by a couple of laps themselves. So Mahar coming in for 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast, as John Osborne in the number 81 finishing his pit stop here, running in 3rd position right now, going to get himself back out on track any second, as it looks like he is taking some repair, Greg.
Yeah, and why not? At this point of the race, you know that you're going to be coming out in 3rd, even with all those other guys that are going to sit and take the wave around. You know you're coming in 3rd. You may as well fix whatever damage you've got. Save that fast repair, because I don't think Osborne's burnt it yet. Save it. We've still got 37, 36 laps left in this race. That's still a lot of time. Yes, this is a 0.75 mile track. Yes, it doesn't seem like that much, but that's 4 corners per lap. It's real easy to get yourself in trouble. Like we saw here, Tony Edwards, the guy sitting in 2nd place, fighting for the lead for so much of this race. Cold tires and just a mental mistake. And then he compounds that with, like you talked on before, another mental mistake. I do the same thing. It's frustration. You get into this bug and you start to say, well, if I go, another 10 yards deeper, if I get on the brakes 10% less, I can make up that gap that I just gave up. And more often than not, you get yourself in trouble, and it makes it so much worse, and your night gets so much more difficult than if you just said, I'm going to settle down, chill for about 5 laps, let the rear tires cool off, because when you lock them up and you spin like that, it really superheats those tires. And right now, the other thing Tony's got to keep in mind, he's only 8 points ahead of Andrew Olszewski, who and those 8 points have just been gobbled up, with Olszewski sitting in 4th right now and Tony Edwards in 12th. So Edwards needs to be really careful here if he wants to come out of this race with a solid points lead or 8 points lead at all. Like we say, it takes 1 corner, and 1 corner can ruin your whole race.
Absolutely. And as we get ready to be reset here, forgive me, I was just updating a few things in the SDK. As we get reset here, those pace car lights are out, and that will leave Joseph Mahar atop the pile when we go back green, followed by John Osborne, Kevin Mitchell, Andrew Olszewski, and Tommy Devers. And we are back green flag racing here at Richmond Raceway. And, I got to say, as I look here at the schedule moving forward, we are definitely getting into that time of year where, to me, it's kind of like Christmas, even though it's nearly Easter, as we're heading into the heart of NASCAR country, the southeastern United States. As we're in Richmond tonight, we'll have Martinsville next week, and then the following week we will be in Bristol Dirt. So, and then, of course, then we hit the big one, Talladega Superspeedway.
Absolutely. And we are back under yellow. I kind of had a thought that might happen. That was thrown by the race admins. And the reason being was the field was not caught up. And you had some drivers, like the 118 of Tony, was able to Kevin LePage. Is that it? Kevin LePage the field and get essentially be at full song coming to the green flag while everybody else was at pace speeds. So the admins have thrown the yellow here tonight to regroup the field, get everybody back together, and give a more traditional green flag start.
Absolutely, and really nothing shaken up by that caution as far as positions go, because we definitely didn't have a whole lot of time to get underway. So things definitely having changed here. And, you know, at this stage in the race, Joseph Mahar has got to have himself pretty confident there in the cockpit. I'm looking right now to see if we can find him in Discord. Doesn't look like we can. But I do want to pull down Matthew Allen. I want to pull down Matthew Allen into the broadcast booth and talk to him a minute about LNC Automotive Repair. Matthew, it's Dave Regal and Greg McConey in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man, talk to us for a quick minute here about LNC Automotive. We've mentioned you a few times tonight. What have you got going on up there in Dolgeville?
Absolutely nothing. I'm dead right now.
Well, that's not good for business.
Yeah, the full-time job is keeping me busy, so I kind of been laying off a little bit. Spend some time with the family.
Well, I mean, the full-time job should always take precedent. That's why we do this at night in gym shorts and flip-flops instead of doing it in a shirt and tie on a Sunday.
Exactly.
Now, listen, we're glad to have you out there tonight. Looks like you've got yourself a pretty good run going right now, up 8 positions from where you qualified at. How's the car feeling to you?
Other than it being underpowered because I took a nice good smack there a couple laps ago, it's actually not too bad. We're hanging tough and hoping to have a decent finish tonight.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but isn't underpower maybe a little slow actually fast at a track like this?
It has its benefits at times, certainly on corner entry, and it helps steady the car on exit. But you really notice it down these straightaways, with how long these straightaways are. It can be a hindrance. But aside from that, Matthew, how's everything else been going for you tonight?
Actually very well, better than it was last week. So I'll take it. Could use it in the points this year or this tonight. Kind of move me back up in the top 10 I'm hoping for and keep pushing for that playoffs.
Absolutely,
right now,
man. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, right now, Matthew, you're sitting 18th in points. From the top 10, it looks like you're 32 points out. Certainly going to be able to put a good chunk of that away in the bank tonight if you can come away here with a good finish like you have right now.
I'm trying. Actually, like you said, the underpower is actually helping me quite a bit. I know it was helping on that little bit of run there before the caution. So I was actually catching people and getting my laps back, so I'll take it.
All right, man. Well, listen, we will get you back up there into the other Discord channel. But Matt Allen, thank you for joining us from LNC Automotive Repair in Dolgeville, New York.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Matt, without people in Matthew Allen's position to be able to support a league like this, we wouldn't have a job tonight.
No, we wouldn't. So it takes a lot of the help from guys like that. As you see a big stack up here at the front of the field, Mahar gets away great, but John Osborne has a lot of trouble in that outside lane and actually allows Kevin Mitchell to get to the inside, as it looks like the 127
did just rub the wall a little bit.
Yeah, commentator curse. But that car is still going. He's still in a good spot. He'll still be good tonight. As back up towards the front, you see a good battle between the 81, the 12, 311, and the 11, with the 54 and 29 there. This group of guys are all over each other. And like we talked about before, we've taken that dial, the intensity dial, from a 3 to a 6. Right now we're sitting at about an 8 with 15 laps to go here at Richmond. I'm sorry, 25 laps to go here at Richmond.
Absolutely. And, I'll tell you what, we're taking a look right now at John Osborne and Joseph Mahar at the top of this piece. And, Osborne himself chasing down Mahar now on fresh tires from lap 162. So Not too many laps on those, and they should be coming into the prime of their life. As whoa, it looks like Kevin Mitchell had rubbed the wall a little bit.
Oh, the 29 is around. What a save.
And the 29 manages to save it. It's almost like he pirouetted there in the middle of the track. There goes Tony Edwards again. Oh, my goodness. And we are back under caution. We will take a look at that as Tony Edwards and Robert Devers getting it wrong coming out of turn 4. And we see the 33 on the low side of Devers. The 29 gets himself loose and, of course, knocks right into Tony Edwards. It doesn't look like he's got too much damage going on, so should be enough to get Tony Edwards back straightened out here.
Yeah, if he comes in, he's got a little bit there on the nose, but he certainly took a little bit of a shot. If he comes in, pits under this yellow, he should be able to get a good chunk of that fixed up. He's still 2 laps down right now, and the 79 of Scott Thomas, depends, was he in that incident or not? I got to double check. I think he was actually good, so he should be getting the wave around with the lucky dog and get himself back here on the lead lap.
Absolutely. And, Derek Nolan making his way up here into 5th position, up 1 from where he qualified. Tommy Devers right now kind of he can't be too happy with his performance as he's down 3 from where he had qualified, up in 3rd position. But Kevin Mitchell, as I keep telling Guillermo, put it on the poll, Kevin Mitchell is always there as we're closing in on the checkered flag here in about 21 laps. Lizette Montez says, yes, you got it, number 11, in our YouTube chat right now. And if you're watching us on YouTube, all of you fine fans, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications for every time ESBN goes live. I know I keep that on because, on the few nights that I'm not on the air every week, it's always good to check in with our brothers and sisters here at Sim Racing Media and ESBN and see how everybody else is doing. We support each other here at ESBN and Sim Racing Media. And something else that I just need to give a quick tip of the cap to, the SRM Sim Racing Media podcast is coming back, and it has a new title, Greg.
Ooh.
I know. It generated a lot of interest in our Sim Racing Media Discord, but it is the Sim Racing Media Money Stop. See what I did there with that title? See what I did? It has nothing to do with actual money. See what I did? I should work in marketing.
There you go.
But anyway, the Sim Racing Media Money Stop with Dave Regal and Tony Trapasso. Tony Trapasso, of course, the ESBN Employee of the Month. And Tony and I get to have a lot of fun there on the podcast. So this week we kind of spent a little bit of time getting to know you, the listeners, and each other as we try to reintroduce ourselves. So check that out. As soon as it drops, we'll let you know. They're on Facebook under Sim Racing Media. Head on over there and click like, follow us. Get that algorithm for Facebook cranking away, as it helps more people get interested in your friends and family in what we're doing. Because, some people, they think, you're a sim racer. That's kind of weird. So you drive a virtual car on a virtual track with virtual broadcasters. No, these are real people with real hardware in their racing rigs and real broadcasters here talking to you tonight. And as we've said a few times tonight, this is Greg McConey's first night in the ESBN broadcast booth for the Way She Goes Racing League. What are your takeaways so far tonight, Greg?
I'm loving it. I really am. Like you said, the cars are simulated, but the aggression and the competition is real. And you're seeing that here tonight. And the money stop that you brought up with our podcast is going to be very interesting, because the 11, the 9, and the 29 all on the lead lap pitted under this yellow. Everybody else has at least 20 laps on their tires. They've got a fresh set of Goodyears, and I am looking for those 3 to charge their way to the front. As the green flag is out here at Richmond, the The 46 of Mahar gets a great jump. The 81 of Osborne stuck on the outside as he dives it deep and hooks it high in 1 and 2. Trying to get as big of a run as he can down the backstretch to pull ahead of the 311 of Brandon Ring. And he's going to get himself clear right now just for a second, but expect him to get himself clear coming out of 4, dive back to the bottom as he does to get back into that preferred lane and try and put a charge on Joseph Mahar.
And we pull out just a little bit here, watching these three here at the top of this piece, going at it hammer and tongs. And when we back up a little bit here, Derek Nolan and Tommy Devers chasing one another down with Kevin Mitchell here in the mix. Mitchell in that black M&M's number 12 Toyota Camry, chasing down Tommy Devers. But these three drivers at the front of this pack, followed by Derek Nolan in the number 54 Ford, going at it. I mean, we are about to see 15 laps of thunderous racing from these three drivers as, you know, John Osborne waiting patiently behind Mahar, but as fast as Mahar has been all evening, starting to get curious when's a good time to make your move. When would you generally think making the move is ready to go for?
I would be looking to make, if I've got to make a bump and run move, I'm looking to make it with 2 to go, you know, if not 1 to go. But if I've got a car that I think I can be competitive in, like the 81 is right now, I'm looking to set this move up with about 10 to go, because it gives you enough time to reset if something goes wrong. You know, if you don't get the run you want, as I'm looking back at the 11 right now, he's up to 5th place fighting with the 33 of Tommy Devers. He's up 5 spots since this restart. But what he's doing is he's making the move that I would be doing. He's rolling this high line to get as big of a run down the straightaway as he can. As, oh, the 311's in the wall! And when the caution is out,
that's something nobody was ready to see as the 311 gets into the 11. So we'll take a look back here at Brandon Ring and Andrew Olszewski getting into it.
yeah, this was just the 311 trying to get a little bit too much out of those rear tires. The 11 gets into him, but I mean, that was already after the 311 went around, just got on the throttle a little too much, tried to get a little more out than those tires were willing to give him. He was on 37 lap old tires. So no real surprise there that they broke loose the way they did. Not what him or the 11 wanted to see, especially the 11. The 11 was gaining on those leaders extremely fast, and he was going to be there to really put on a challenge in these closing laps. But even right now, he's sitting in 3rd. He's got, 17 lap fresher tires than the leader does. He's got 25 lap fresher tires than Derek Nolan in 2nd. If that car's not hurt too much, even if he's got a little bit of engine damage, expect Andrew to be able to put on a real good challenge here at the end.
Absolutely. And as we get reset here, this grid going to start to look a little bit more like it's going to when that checkered flag flies in 10 laps from now, with Joseph Mahar here in the number 46 Poppy Bank Chevrolet atop this pile, with Derek Nolan now in the number 54 Ford, right behind him in 2nd position, Andrew Olszewski, who he really didn't have any place to go. He was in his line and kind of minding his own business when Brandon Ring had, of course, come up and, gotten into him. But it doesn't look like he's got too bad a damage on that Camry. Tommy Devers in the number 33 car running in 4th right now, with Robert Hissong rounding out your top 5 at this point. And, that leaves Kevin Mitchell, Robert Devers, Matthew Allen, John Osborne, and Brandon Ring rounding out your top 10. And 11 cars on the lead lap are brought together by G. Scott Thomas in the number 79 Nissan. That's a Ford. That's a Nissan. That's really a Ford.
Yeah, this is going to get interesting. So the 81 Osborne and the 311 of Brandon Ring did come in under this yellow. We've got 8 laps right now to the end. But the other thing to remember, too, there are 3 attempts at a green-white checkered here. Let me double-check that. Yes, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. So ideally, Osborne and Ring aren't where they want to be on fresh tires. But I like where Andrew and Robert Hissong are sitting. They're going to be on the inside line in 3rd and 5th place. I think they're in a really good spot. Osborne and Ring are going to be hoping that they can utilize those tires as the 127 of Matthew Allen. We talked on him before. We saw him get into that trouble and is running a modified right now with no hood, no front end, no front fenders, but still running right now in 8th place on 53-lap-old tires. So we got a couple of those modifieds. The 127, the 9 have no front ends. The 12 has no rear end. The 11's got some damage. And then if you look at the 29, the 33, the 54, and the 46, they're all clean for the most part. So aero doesn't affect too much here. Tires are your best friend as we get ready to come back to green here, Dave.
Absolutely, and the man in the stand has the green flag in his hand as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing. With 6 laps to go, this is going to be one heck of a shootout here toward the end as your race leader, Joseph Mahar, being chased down like a dog by Angelo Ozuski and Derek Nolan, as Ozuski working the inside of Nolan here in the closing laps with 6 to go. Looks like Ozuski isn't willing to give up that bottom line, and I got to tell you right now, as long as he can get the run on Derek Nolan, I would stay right there if I was him.
Ooh, 29 gives a little tap to the 33, puts the 33 into the wall after he gets off the 12. Yeah, you want to be, with those fresh tires, you want to be hugging that bottom line. I think the 11 of Ozuski just has a little bit too much damage that's hurting him on the straightaways. You really see him close on center, on entry to center to exit, but the straightaways is where he's really struggling right now.
And not to put any pressure on Angelo Ozuski, but his dad Tom is watching on the YouTube live chat right now and is hoping that he can finish strong, son. So go number 11 as Ozuski getting himself positioned to take second right now. I got to tell you, this is starting to turn into one heck of a race as we can see Ozuski here chasing down Derek Nolan, but Robert Hissong working the outside with, oh my goodness, you'll never believe it, we are under caution. That will put us into NASCAR overtime, and that pace car coming back out.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the one thing we talked about. Remember how Osborne pitted? He's got 11 laps fresher tires than the 2 cars ahead of him. He's sitting in 5th place right now on the inside line. He's got the preferred line in 1 and 2. If he can keep that and get a good enough exit coming out of 2 to get a good run down the backstretch into 3, we could very well be talking about Osborne fighting for a top 3 position here at the end of this.
Absolutely, and looking at this caution brought out by the number 127 of Matthew Allen, no contact between himself and the 33 of the 311, of Brandon Ring. Brandon just gets right up there on that low side and backs off as he sees Allen getting loose. So no contact, just kind of a cold situation there, as that does, right now Matthew Allen last came into pit on lap 140, so definitely dealing with some old rubber there.
Yeah, he is, and that was a tough fight for him. But as we kind of talked on before, you saw the 311 right before Allen went around. You saw the 311 get to that left rear and do exactly as we said, get to that left rear, and it just makes the rear end of that car ahead of you loose, and it wants to push the rear end out from underneath you, and like you saw happen, it put Matthew around. Nothing intentional, nothing malicious in any way. Just as we said, we took the dial to an 8. The dial is now at an 11. And now that we're going into overtime, the dial is getting cranked all the way back around to 15.
Absolutely. And, the longer that we go here, the more I'm afraid that we're going to start to see, maybe a little hiccup here as we get to the green-white checker session, NASCAR Overtime. And, folks, for those of you that don't know, NASCAR Overtime is not timed, like football or basketball or hockey, but it is based on flag waving. So what'll happen is once we go back green, the flag stand will wave the green flag, and we will race around to capture the white flag. Now, if something happens between the waving of the green flag and the waving of the white flag, we will go back under caution and try this all over again. Once the white flag flies, though, the next flag will end the race. Of course, whether it's yellow, checkered, blue, it doesn't matter. We're not on a road course, so blue, not really a thing. But once that next flag waves, that will freeze the field, and the race will be over at that moment at the timing lines. So Joseph Mahar definitely going to be under pressure here in the bottom middle of your screen, followed by Derek Nolan, Angelo Zuski in the number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry, with Robert Hissong in fourth and John Osborne in fifth. These top five are about to get real nasty real fast with one another. They've played nice so far, but with the pace car lights off at this stage in the race, all bets are off.
Absolutely, And the other thing to remember, we've talked on it a lot tonight, tire spin is going to be a problem, I have a feeling here. The 46 now, yes, the 46 Mahar gets to control the restart and when he chooses to go. He's on 40-lap old tires with Derek Nolan on 48. The guys in the second row are on 23, and John in fifth is on 12. So watch for a lot of tire spin here as this restart commences.
And we are in NASCAR Overtime under green now as Joseph Mahar brings out that number 46 Poppy Banks Chevrolet to a nice healthy lead here. We're going to see them come through here to try to capture the white flag without any kind of cautions. And we see Angelo Zuski working the low side, but right now Derek Nolan does not seem worried about Olszewski as he is more focused on chasing down Joseph Mahar. The white flag waves, and my goodness, here on the last lap, it looks like Derek Nolan is ready to give everything he's got to Joseph Mahar, and with Nolan on older tires than Mahar, they are going to have one heck of a battle here as we pass the entrance to pit road one last time. The start-finish line in their sights, but Joseph Mahar, your race winner here at Richmond Raceway in the Way She Goes Racing League, round number 7 at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, that was a fantastic finish. Derek Nolan gave everything that he had sitting in that tank to try and get to the back bumper of Mahar. You saw him go to the high side to try and get the run to pinch Mahar down in 1 and 2. He was able to get there, but Mahar was just able to get back to the gas and able to pull himself ahead coming out of 2. And then Nolan wasn't close enough without making a malicious move to get to the back end of Mahar for a bump and run. And Mahar is able to drive away, get out of turn 4 beautifully, and take home the checkered flag here tonight with, like we said, Derek Nolan second and Robert Hissong in third after a great battle with the 11 of Andrew Olszewski. Robert takes home that third place podium.
Absolutely. And right now we are going to try to get a hold of Robert Hissong, driver of the number 29 Chevrolet, and trying to get Rob Hissong on the radio. Rob Hissong, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother? Rob Hissong just disappeared.
He jumped back to the interview room.
Taking him. Rob Hissong, Dave Regal in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Rob, you are muted, my friend.
I'll tell you what. Let's go up to the interview. See if we can get him. See if we can get him there. Rob Hissong, Dave Regal in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother? Oh, jeez. Rob Hissong, Dave Regal in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother? I don't think we can hear him right now. So I don't see Derek Nolan yet, but I do see our race winner, Joseph Mahar. Joseph Mahar, Dave Regal in the... Oh, there's Rob. Hey, Rob, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, listen, you ran such a strong race all night. I mean, up 7 positions from where you qualified there in 10th. How was that car feeling there toward the latter half of this race as you went basically 21 laps on those tires?
Yeah, it was rough because honestly, on the first 10 laps or so, the tires are like being on ice. They just got to wait for them to build pressure and build temp just to even start running how you want to. Also, without getting into the back of other people, I want to apologize to Tommy there. I didn't mean to move him. He said he thought he gave me enough room. I thought I gave him enough room. I was off the throttle completely and barely touched him, and he went up the track.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you know, you definitely had some support tonight as your whole league. You know, one of the things that Greg and I were talking about was that your whole league is so supportive of one another. I rarely hear a whole lot of arguing. I hear a lot more apologizing and encouragement. How's the culture overall in Way She Goes Racing League?
Honestly, I like it. It's I get a lot of enjoyment out of racing with these guys. Andrew, Joseph, Tony, just about everybody. I've been able to run door to door with everybody and race how I want to be raced, and it's nice, to be able to be in a league where, like, if something happens and it was a pure racing incident, nobody's at your throat, because more times than not, both sides are, I don't think I may have given him enough room or whatnot. It goes both ways, so it is nice to have a good group of people to run with.
Absolutely. And here on the third place finish with your podium finish tonight, who would you like to thank and shout out for this good finish tonight?
I want to thank you for broadcasting and Greg for being in the booth. I want to thank my girlfriend for supporting this. I sometimes call it a hobby, but honestly, I've been a fan of racing all my life. So this is what it is. It is a way of life. I just want to thank her for putting up with my league racing. So I know she's probably watching.
Trust me, we all have that. Behind every great racer, or in my case, every fair to Midland broadcaster, there's a woman who's probably rolling her eyes and sighing very heavily.
Yep.
So, Rob, listen, want to thank you for tonight, and we're going to slide over here. I believe, Greg, that you have our race winner, Joseph Mahar, on the radio.
That we do. Joseph, can you hear us, man?
I got you, Greg.
Joseph, you were dominant here tonight in this race. Tell us about the car and how everything felt for you up there.
It felt great. I loved the long runs here. I had some great long run speed. I wish we could have had, 150 lap run. Like, I absolutely loved the long runs. I wasn't that good on short runs. It took a little bit to get away from Tony, and even, those last couple of restarts with, with Derek behind me and Robert, I got a little worried because I knew I wasn't the best on short runs, but just awesome. It's awesome to come to a track that I'm not very good at, believe it or not. Definitely not one of my better tracks. Not a short track driver, but definitely gotta credit my success to my Sunday night teammate Zach Wilson for the pointers he gave me on how to drive this place and what to do, and I really think that made the difference tonight.
Well, you say you were not. This isn't one of your best tracks, but you were the class of the field here. You talked about how you were so strong on the long runs. What were you feeling different between the short run and the long runs in the car here tonight?
My thing is, I don't like to push the car that hard. I mean, this is a track that's it's such a fine line. If you push it too hard, you're going to spin off the corner, especially out of two. Coming out of two is very dangerous, where it goes from that banking to the flat, and if you're pushing too hard, you're going to spin out, real quick. So I mean, I took it really easy. I think on every restart, and I think that's kind of what helped me. Just not burning that right front, just kind of taking it nice and easy. And I think as the run went on, my tires were a little bit better, and I was able to I was able to kind of pull away from the guys behind me. But I think on the shorter runs, they were driving it in a lot deeper. They were probably more comfortable in that than I was, and I think that was kind of the difference. Plus, those guys behind me had new tires. I had a couple guys, Robert and the 81, were coming behind me with brand new tires. I had 30, 40 lap old tires. I was trying to hold them off with.
Yeah, we saw that. We were kind of commenting that as we were getting deeper into this run and those late race restarts. You had 42 lap old tires on that last stint. Was that more a decision of wanting to keep track position in clean air over the new set of tires, or kind of walk us through that decision making a little bit, if you don't mind?
It was just wanting to keep the track position. Once you get back in the field here, it is tough to pass. It's so tough to pass without pushing the car hard. And if you push the car too hard, you're just going to spin it out. Plus, if you got someone in front of you that makes a mistake, you could easily get caught up in someone else's accident just by minding your own business. So I thought the track position was going to be the better option. Obviously, when you get cautions at the end of these things, it kind of starts making you rethink your decision. Like, was that the better idea? Should I have pitted with 20 laps to go? But I stood by my decision. I was like, just hopefully it'll work out. I just didn't want this thing to get 3 green white checkers, because I probably would have been passed.
Yeah, absolutely. That is now your second win this season. You are currently sitting 15th in points before tonight. You're going to definitely move up a few spots after this win here. So, Joseph, is there anybody you need to thank for your run here tonight?
Just got to thank these guys for letting me be a part of this league. I missed the first couple races. Came in here at Phoenix, and since then it's just been great. It's been four podium finishes, 2 wins. It's been awesome. Definitely did not think I would do that. Hate that my buddy Jesse had some personal stuff tonight. I don't know if I could have beat Jesse. Jesse was pretty good. If you saw early in the race, he was pulling me off those corners, and Jesse's really good around this place. But hopefully he gets everything taken care of that he has to tonight. Hopefully we can race with him again next week. But got to thank these guys. Like I said, let me be a part of this league. Thanks to my wife for putting up with me. I wasn't even planning on running this race tonight. I got to go out of town tomorrow. Luckily, things worked out with work where I was able to get tomorrow off. So I was like, yeah, let's just run it, see what happens. And I'm certainly glad I did. So.
Yeah, it seems the tides turned in your favor coming into tonight's race. Everybody, once again, your race winner here tonight at Richmond, Joseph Mahar. Congratulations again, man. Good luck next week as we head to Martinsville.
Thank you. Another track that I'm not that good at, but we'll see. I mean, it's another track that you got to be real careful. Don't overdrive the corners. Try to get the run coming off, but I think it'll be a good race. And thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. Love going back and watching this broadcast. Love doing that.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure for us up here tonight to broadcast a great race that you guys put on.
Absolutely. And I'll see you guys next week at Martinsville.
All right, man. Well, listen, we appreciate the time, and we'll get you cut loose here in just a moment. Go. I'll tell you what, Greg. This was your first night here with the Way She Goes Racing League. How do you feel?
I feel tired. There was so much racing going on, and unlike what the folks at home were able to see, you and I are bouncing around different camera angles, different views, watching all the different battles going on. There was so much excitement here tonight, and so much energy and battles and everything going on that I'm actually a little tired from watching it all. But that was just such great racing, seeing the strategy pull out on the long run, who takes tires when, Robert Hissong and John Osborne late race coming in at those, making those pit stops, trying to gain the advantage of fresh tires versus, like we said, race winner Joseph Mahar buying to get the track position over the fresh set of tires, hoping to get that long run speed to continue to grow. This was my first race, and if this is what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the season, this group of guys and gals is really going to be fun to watch. They're going to put on some fantastic races, and this is a good size field. There were 19 drivers here tonight. That is a fantastic size. If they can keep this up, this is going to be a very good and a very competitive league, and it's going to be so much fun for me to broadcast from up here in the booth.
Absolutely, man. I mean, this is our first night working together, and it feels absolutely amazing to be next to somebody who it just seems like we're meshing and vibing, from the very start. So glad to have you, here with me in the broadcast booth. And as we get to wrap things up, we do want to take a moment and acknowledge one of our racers in the Way She Goes Racing series, as Matthew Wilson has suffered a personal loss at home. And we just want to take a moment to think about Matt and consider his feelings during this incredibly hard time of his life. And we'll just take a moment of silence here as we prepare to look at those final race results. Thank you. And folks, we are looking at the final race results from this evening. Joseph Mahar comes from fourth up to first for the night and takes home the win, with Derek Nolan in the number 54 Ford following right behind him. Third position on the podium belongs to Robert Hissong, who worked his butt off to get that number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet onto the podium, with John Osborne in fourth, Scott Thomas, Kevin Mitchell, Brandon Ring, Angelo Zuski in the number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry, being cheered on by Lizette Montez, and Matthew Allen and Robert Devers rounding out your top 10, Greg.
Yeah, finishing 11th here tonight is Tommy Devers. He was the last car on the lead lap. Finishing in 12th was Tony Edwards, 1 lap down. 13th was Clark Franz, 4 laps down. 14th was the 93 of Kevin Kitzman, 9 laps down. 15th of Natalie Cunningham, 31 laps. 16th was Michael Cunningham, finishing 64 laps. In 17th place, we had Josh Douglas in the 8 car, finishing 140 laps down. 18th was the 1 of Jesse Whittington, after he said he had that family issue come up. Hopefully everything's all good there. He finished 188 laps down. And finally, finishing up in 19th place is the 6 car of Emily. I'm going to get this right. Urias. Darn it. Urias. Okay. Sorry, Emily. I'll get it. I swear. Give me a couple weeks. Emily finished in 19th, 208 laps down here tonight. Dave, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be up in the booth here with you. I'm excited to see what next week brings at Martinsville. Once again, I like you said, this is you make it easy for me to be up here and convey all the thoughts running through my head. And once again, man, just thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for Way She Goes Racing League for allowing me to be able to be up here in the booth with you starting tonight. And I look forward to seeing what the rest of the season brings.
Absolutely. And Greg, listen, glad to have you in with us. And moving forward, I feel like this is just going to be one of those pairings that it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. And I'm fat, so it's all about the jelly. But folks, listen, as you go through the next few days, just remember to take 1 second and enjoy a moment. So often in life, we wind up racing through as we do 205 laps like we did this evening. But sometimes it's important just to pace and enjoy a moment. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.